Hey everybody, Orange Podcast Bad, episode 12. We're on a dozen, Paul. We're on a dozen. What say you? A dozen already? Feels like just yesterday we started this thing.
Well, it really does. I mean, it feels like 2 or 3 days ago was our first one and stuff. Welcome everybody. Uh, with Sean at the helm and me helping him out, we're going to have a great time tonight, as we do every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 7 p.m. Central Time.
See, I'm opening up the chat rooms now. Let me get the X chat room open. It is open. Chat rooms are open. Drop us a comment. Absolutely. Well, we'll answer your questions, whatever. So I was talking to Paul briefly before, and we'll get into this in a minute, Paul, but I saw this awesome story out of Cowboy State Daily. Are you familiar with that website? It's Wyoming
Yep,
based.
yep.
That in Bozeman, Montana, 13 officers, including two sergeants. Uh, so, what, 11 road dogs, two sergeants. They were playing. They were playing arrest bingo or traffic citation bingo. Which at first I started laughing about, right? And it's be like one of the squares is someone's fully naked. One of the squares is arrest two or more people in the same vehicle. One of the squares is, and it, like, to me, I'm reading the story and I'm like, this is hilarious. This is freaking hilarious.
Yeah.
But apparently they got found out, and the chief was like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa! You're gonna get us sued for targeting. All right, you guys can't do this stuff." No, because it just gives the appearance of, "Oh, now we're targeting people so that we can get a bingo on our bingo card." And they had it down to like the mid shift, the late shift. Each had their own cards for the day.
Really?
Yeah, Bozeman, Montana. So
But
first
so
thought,
that's so funny, Sean, because bingo or no bingo, that's really how it happens. You put a wolf pack together, or you set up what we call traffic calming. You set up I would call it a roadblock, but a checkpoint, right? And I guarantee you, all over the nations, it doesn't matter if you have 1,500 people in your town or 150,000 people in your town,
hmm
you're going to get someone naked. It always happens. You're going to get someone who knows the law better than you. You're going to get somebody who won't roll down their window. You're going to get somebody who answers a question with a question every single time. It is just the way it goes. And the difference between 1985 and 2025 is none of those shenanigans were tolerated in 1985.
right.
You pulled any of that crap,
You're
you were
coming out of the
getting
car.
jerked out. You're getting jerked out through the vent window, and you're going to jail. There's just no doubt about it.
Well, so the comment I saw some people talking about this is a different story, but it falls into the same thing. Some moron went up. I actually saw two videos today. There was an illegal who just had saw a judge, and the judge said, "No, no, no, you're getting deported," and ICE was waiting outside. And there's a bunch of citizens out there, short hair Karens, you know who they are, and they're all trying to like stop this and say you need a warrant. And then I saw another video where a kid walks into Trump Tower and spray paints over the 45 crest in the lobby, and security and the
Really?
cops come in. Same thing. The entire gallery, the peanut gaggle, was all like, "You can't arrest him. You can't touch him." And I was like, I think these people have watched way too many of those First Amendment auditor videos on the internet, or First, Fourth, and Fifth Amendment, where they like these guys get rich with clicks because they'll go through and somehow successfully walk through a post office because there's some sort of a post office issued thing from 10 years ago that said you're allowed to film the walls. And then they educate the cops and they win lawsuits off this stuff. And I think these people who don't know any better are just remembering a few lines from these very famous and very successful, and they do it as a form of protest. They call it a form of education. It's not education. They're protesting and they're getting rich off all the clicks. And I think that's what I watched today, these two videos. These people have just seen one too many of those on TikTok or on YouTube. It's
Yeah.
a 3 minute long video, and they think they know how to evade a cop lawfully as
Yeah.
some sort of sovereign citizen, which there is
Yeah.
no such thing.
There's no such thing. Yeah.
And then people will,
You could be traveling. You could be not driving. You could be transporting commerce. But let me tell you something. If you're within the 50 states,
Mhm.
there are driver's license regulations. And if you don't follow them, you're going to get a citation. And if you argue too aggressively about it,
Mhm.
you're going to go to jail.
Absolutely. And most of them do, and they're hoping that when they get out, they'll spend their 4 hours or 8 hours or whatever, and they hope when they get out that they can file a civil lawsuit and win. And some of them have won, and they've won big cash rewards for something that a junior officer just wasn't prepared to handle one of these guys.
Yeah.
And so I know that there's been training all over the country and to immediately recognize, oh, you're one of the 1A guys. Okay, I got you. We know what you're going to do. We got it.
Yeah.
So, but I think that's where, when I saw these two videos today, these Karens would have had no expertise in, what do they call that? Sovereign citizen. It's common law. Common law doesn't exist anymore. Even though people still try to use it, most people don't win their case. Some people have gotten away with it, and I could pull up videos and send links out if you don't believe me. It's very, very few. I'm not a lawyer, but I would caution you on trying this approach because I don't think, first, you're going to lose, and second, you're going to owe a whole bunch of money for wasting the court's time.
Yeah. Yeah. And places like Florida and Texas and stuff, they will absolutely drop the hammer on you and charge you for expenses
Oh, yeah.
because you're so ridiculous that you're trying to mock, the law, and you just don't have a leg to stand on. Even I've even seen attorneys who not spend their life, but they spend a great deal of their time trying to justify this sovereign citizen bullshit. And it ain't happening, dude.
No.
It's not. You either produce your driver's license or you don't. And if you don't, in 50 states in the continental United States, you don't, you're committing a crime.
Yeah.
If you're commanded by a law enforcement officer to get out of your vehicle and you don't, you're committing a crime. And you can either open the door and come out, or they can break the window and reach in and tase you and pepper spray you and
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 now you're catching other
rearrange
charges.
your eyeballs. Yeah,
And now you're catching extra charges, right? Resisting with force, or potentially resisting with a weapon. Like, yeah, all these other things you're going to catch. You made a great point. I think what people don't realize, they think of common law it was English law before we had the Constitution, but there's some arguments that we still operated under common law until it might have been the 16th Amendment. It's somewhere in that range. And then that was no, it was it doesn't matter. So when we created the Fed, basically, and we said we're no longer a republic, we're a Fed. Uh, but these states all are sovereign states. So yeah, argue with the highway patrolman in Mississippi and tell them you don't need a license, a valid registration with plates on your car, and insurance. Go ahead and argue with them. You're gonna lose. The other thing is, I haven't ever seen one of these, and I've seen a bunch of these videos back when they were super popular. I've seen somebody like win their case at like a city level because they got lucky. They got super lucky. The cop wasn't prepared for it,
Yeah.
right?
So the cop either quotes the wrong statute
Yep.
or, he does some other thing that's not within, which you don't get with state police because state police specialize in traffic and they know everything and they know it cold. Whereas,
Right, city.
let's say you're in a metropolitan area, and here's the thing, Sean, you come out of roll call and you got 5, maybe 6 calls backed up. Right when you come out of roll call, you hadn't even gotten in your squad car yet. You know, midnight shift is turned in already, and they left 5 calls on the board. And that's what you do. That's your primary function. You're going out and doing these calls. And, during the day when it slows down a little bit, you say, okay, I need to have some activity, right? And so
Play the
you
bingo
start
card.
looking at traffic violations. And you're not a traffic guy by nature, right? You're answering all these other calls,
Right.
but you still need to show some activity to your, watch commander. And then you do a 1050 traffic stop on somebody, and then you get into this thing. Well, the highway patrol and state police don't have that. That's all they do is traffic.
Right.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? They're not going to 4 or 5 domestics and a burglary and uh aggravated assault and all that.
Not
All
unless
they're
they're
doing is traffic, and they know their job better than anybody.
not
And I
unless they're
can't tell you how many times I've pulled somebody over and actually have been flummoxed about what to do. And then sure enough, here comes a Florida Highway Patrol. He comes up and goes, "Yep, nope, we're not doing that. Out of the car, in the cup, back of and you're like, hell yeah, dude."
right. Well, these guys that do this, right, and they're doing it back in the day, it was on their GoPros. Now they're doing it live with their cell phones, right? Right. They practiced it 1,000 times. You not being a road dog, right, or not being a traffic cop, don't
Yeah,
practice this, right, and
you
don't
don't.
aren't up to
Yeah,
date on what the newest trend on YouTube and TikTok is to bait a cop into this, because that's what they really want is to bait a cop
that's what
into
they're trying to do. So if you're a working guy, in a urban environment, right?
yeah.
If you're looking at traffic, you're not looking at traffic for a guy who changed lanes without using his turn signal, or he did a right on red when it
Right.
wasn't allowed, unless you're like, I know that dude. He's a doper. I know that guy. I've
Okay.
arrested him before. And then you do a traffic stop because you know that guy, is up to no good. It's not like you're just doing traffic things. You're still looking at, you know, your your area that you're responsible for, and you're like, man, I know that red Monte Carlo. I've seen that dude down, in the crack buying area and all that kind of stuff. So you fall in behind him, and then when he changes lanes without turn signal or whatever, then that's your PC for a stop. But you're not looking to write him a ticket for not changing lanes.
Right.
You're looking to get inside that car so you can find some dope or something else. That's the difference between the highway patrol and a city cop.
Oh, for sure. That makes total sense. And that's where one of the bingo card items I forgot to write was executed a search warrant on a car, which you're able to do that right then and there if you've got PC. You don't need to get a judge to get into the car for the most part.
Right.
And most people don't
Yep.
believe they wouldn't have any clue about that, but they'll try. They'd be like,
No.
"You're violating my Fourth Amendment. You're violating." No, I'm not.
Yeah. They get out of the car and they bow up on you and stuff, and you're like, this is not going to work out how you think it's going to work out, dude.
Right?
Bow up on me again. Come at me again and see what happens.
So one of the videos I watched, you could hear the audio of the ICE agent, and there's this frail, like super ultra liberal lady, putting hands on wrists of this guy, and the ICE officer has, from the front, he's apprehended the other guy, and he's waiting on someone to come around and grab him from the back, but he's got his wrists, and he's got his wrists tied up behind his back, and so this lady's over here putting hands on him, and he was so calm. He's like, "Listen, you don't understand. You're breaking the law. You need to back up." She tries it a second time. He goes, "This is my final warning. If you try this again, this is assault on a federal officer. You will go to jail today." And finally, she steps back like a foot or two, and the other buddies are able to come around the back of the illegal immigrant and get him in the cuffs. But like the first guy saw him walk out of the courtroom, went up, grabbed his arms, just tied him up behind his back, and they were like face to face, almost kiss level.
Yep.
Oh, it was a good video. I had a good
Those are
time
my
watching it.
favorite days at work. I swear to God.
Right, where they don't even see it coming, and all of a sudden,
Yeah.
what is going
Yep.
on? Dude clearly knew what was going on because he didn't complain, he didn't fight. It was these liberal wackos that went to court that day. Somehow they watched the court docket to see this guy's case was coming up. And the judge ruled against him and said, "No, you're out of here. You're deported. Once I release you from this room, ICE is going to go ahead and detain you."
Yeah.
He knew, right? And somebody translated it for him. But the ladies were just sitting outside with their phones. "We're gonna stop this. It's a constitutional crisis. This is a Fourth Amendment violation." No, and it
No.
obviously he just got due process, which is what you've all been crying about.
You know what? You know
Justin
what?
Timberlake,
Go
Cry Me
ahead.
a River.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say Justin Timberlake. I wish we could play trademark songs or copywritten songs. "Cry Me a River" would be perfect right now. Justin Timberlake.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
No. What are you seeing out there
So
on the interwebs?
I got to tell you, the only thing really in my career was disappointing to me was so we had 14 guys on a shift. I would say 7 of us were in the gym 4 or 5 days a week. And we're like, we're not getting our ass kicked. We're not. So we're going to work out. We're going to train in Krav Maga or whatever. And we are not going to get our ass kicked. What bothered us was the other 7 or 8 on the shift. You know, they're overweight, drinking Red Bulls, just,
Sure.
I don't want to say slovenly, but you know what I'm saying. Guys that are out of shape.
They're hooked on the
And
donuts
you
and the
felt,
glutens
you
and the
really felt obligated, Sean, when one of those guys would do a traffic stop or something. If any of us were in the area, you're like, 299 SO, we're headed that way. Because
So
we knew it was gonna,
the I was gonna ask that question. Is that why typically when you see a minor traffic infraction, by the end of it, you got two or three behind the original law
Yeah,
enforcement officer just in
yeah,
case?
because the original contact guy could not handle his shit. I swear to God, 90% of the time, that's why you see other vehicles pulling up because among our shift, we knew that guy wasn't up to speed.
Wow.
He
Okay.
just wasn't. And we would do it with female officers too, unless they were
Six
um,
four 200.
elite athletes. I mean,
Right.
there were some 5'2", 5'3" gals that run, marathons and, what do they call that? Uh,
Oh, there's a
a
couple
half
of them.
thing with the bicycle and the swimming and
Triathlon,
you know what I mean?
triathlon,
Yeah, they were
decathlon.
fit as hell and yeah, you just, Cathlon. You, you didn't have to worry about them because they could handle their shit. But you got the guy that's 300 pounds, you know, he comes to roll call and he's out of breath.
Right.
And you're like, yeah, we got to back this dude up because there's a really good chance that if the person he pulled over wants to, you know, he could
So
beat that ass and get in his
was
car
it?
and leave.
And I'm gonna go ahead and call it out as a fat white guy. We've all seen him sitting in the car eating, sitting in a parking lot, looking like he's on traffic. We like civilians have seen this guy you're talking about. What was it? The civil rights era that like got rid of PTs, annual PTs that like this guy should have been PT'd out.
It really came down to budget.
Okay.
It really came down to budget. So we didn't have a budget for, physical fitness training, but at the sheriff's office, we were on this it literally my first uh sheriff's office was a converted bar. And then in 85, let's say.
Okay.
And then by 88 or 89, we got $125 million to build a new sheriff's office facility and it had a really nice gym in it,
Yeah.
but the sheriff stopped short of making that of compelling
Okay.
people to to have annual physicals and all that kind of stuff and it came down to the budget. And so those of us that were in shape, we did it on our own. We just did it on our own
It,
and it was self-preservation, Sean. It was like I don't give a shit, dude. I am you're not beating me. You are not going to get over on me. I'm going to
right.
take you to the ground and take you to jail. I don't care. Because in Florida, if you've ever come up against a drunk agricultural Mexican, they cannot be hurt. You could hold up a claymore, blow it in their claymore and blow it in their face, and they'll just go, "What the fuck, dude?" Yeah. So you better be in shape because you're going to tote an ass whipping if you're not.
right.
And it's not because they're bad guys. You know what I'm saying? It's not
Right.
because they're bad guys. It's not because they're Tren de Agua or, terrorists.
They're
They're
just
they're
16 beers deep.
agricultural Mexicans picking oranges in Florida and they get a little, they drink 150 Bud Lights and
Haven't ate
and
yet.
yeah,
Right.
that's
Haven't
it.
ate yet.
Yeah, we ain't having it. I'm
You
going to the
can't.
house.
They won't
You ain't
feel
going to the
anything.
house, pal. You're going with me. Nah, I'm going to the house.
Yeah, no, it's just funny because you see that on the other side of the civilian side, like especially when I was playing in rock bands, and you could tell when people were just way too over. right? But this bar that probably should hold 100 people because there's a band there that night. They let in like 700 people, and they can't maintain any control
Any
over
control at all.
anything,
Yeah.
right? The one
Yep.
bouncer at the front door that's checking IDs, he can't do nothing. And right when these
No.
fights would break out, like these some of these guys drank a case of beer, natural ice before they went out at night, right?
Yeah.
So they
Yeah.
didn't.
We call
They
it
were.
we call it natural ice. We call it natty dread.
Yeah, and they would like
Oh
even
yeah.
if they were black and blue the next day, they still didn't feel it because they were still wasted. It took two
Yep.
or three days for these people to go, "What happened? Why am I all?"
And those guys, you could you could beat them half to death, take them to jail. They get released at 6 in the morning. At 7, they are back picking oranges. It
Right?
just didn't it had no effect on them whatsoever.
Just sweating bullets, hungover as shit.
Yeah, yeah, they just
Didn't even know
yeah,
why they were in jail. Had no
no,
idea, but they knew
had
they had to
no
go to
idea.
work
Yeah,
because if they didn't go to
that's
work
all
that
they.
day,
That's the thing, Sean. They go, I got to go to work in the morning. You can't take me to jail. No, we're gonna take you to jail. No, I got to work in the morning, dude.
right?
Okay, so we would let you do that, but you have done this, 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 and this, including knocked 2 teeth out of that guy over there who's laying in the parking lot. So you're going to have to go with us. And they
Yep.
would just square off and go, nope, I got to work in the
Right.
morning.
Mm.
And you're
It
like,
cracks me up.
dun, 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 dun.
Right. You're like, hey, look over there.
Yeah.
Oh shit, your front teeth. I'm sorry. My bad. You were resisting. So it's funny that at a certain age group because they do age themselves out of that over time. But even today, I'll still see them pull up at the gas station in the morning. They fill up the big truck, right? There's like they've got a big super cab F550 or 750.
Yeah.
The whole back is full with either equipment or with landscaping products
Yeah.
or whatever. And each one of them goes in, gets like 2 bottles of water and a 15 pack of beer and fills a cooler and 2 bags of ice, fills a cooler up.
Yeah.
And that's how they start the
Yep.
workday. No coffee, no
And up,
breakfast
that's
food.
where they go at 7 in the morning. Yep. So what we would roll up, we had a lot of bars that were, agricultural
Yeah.
Hispanic bars, right? That's where all the Orange Grove guys went. That's where they all hung out. And whenever I would roll up on one of those where they had some altercation out in the parking lot, I would seek out the oldest guy. I
Mm-hmm.
would purposely seek out the guy that's in his late 40s, early 50s, and go, "Hey, bro, you need to help me contain this." And he was, you know, 9 times out of 10, he's paternal. You know
Right.
what I mean? That he was
Right.
paternal to the group, and he could go over to the younger guys and go, "Hey, hey, hey, knock it off," that kind of thing. But I always sought out and I tried to show them respect
Yeah.
so that they would say, "Hey, we don't want anybody going to jail, man. We'll take care of this. We got it."
We'll start loading trucks up and getting them out of here.
Yeah, we'll just get them out of here. Is that okay? And I'm like, yeah, yeah,
Yes.
just get them out of here, bro.
Which look, I kind of like that method. I think with technology, maybe we've gone a step too far in taking away officer discretion on arrest. Because when you watch cop videos, whatever Fox Nation or something a decent one, not something off a phone, right?
Yeah,
And a cop will say, "Listen, dude, I want to help you out. You're on video doing all of it. There's nothing I can do to help you out. I can't let you call a friend. I can't let you call your girlfriend and get a
yeah.
ride home. You're going
You've
in
crossed
now."
that line. Yeah, yep.
So, which Look, I'm all for following the law, but there was a level of officer discretion that got removed when we went with technology. Right? I'm sure that there was
Oh,
times
100%.
like where she's like, I literally live 1 mile down the road. I'm the first mailbox on this county road on the right, and I can call someone right now. There used to be a level of discretion where you go, well, if you could have them here in 10 minutes and not waste my whole night, do it. We'll leave your car here.
So, so I worked for a sheriff's office for a long, long time. 15 years I worked at a sheriff's office. And we had, you know, maybe 7 districts. And 2 or 3 of the districts were in town where you worked hand in hand with the city police. But a lot of times I was out, my district was, 800 square miles, and it was just me. And you roll out and you do a 1050 traffic stop on a Chevy Silverado that's got 8 drunk Mexicans in it. You better know what to do, because if you don't know what to do, you're going to get your fucking ass kicked. And
Sure.
every single time they would say, "Hey, the camp," these guys stayed in camps in the
Oh
groves,
yeah.
in
Yeah,
the
yeah.
orange grove. They had these, kind of like the oil business. They had these
Yeah.
man camps.
Trailers, 4 or 5 live into a
Yeah,
trailer,
and so
back to back to back.
you'd get the head guy who was usually driving, and and you're like, "Dude, all of you guys are fucked up." And he's like, "Dude, the camp's like 600 yards. I'm taking everybody home." Even if he was slurring and stuff, I'm taking everybody home. The camp's right down there, please. And I'd go, "Okay, but if you don't, I'm gonna follow you. And if you don't,
Right.
that's your ass." No, no. I mean, 90% of the time, Sean, it was like, "No, sir, we don't want any problems. We got to work tomorrow. You
Right.
just follow me down to the camp." And I can't tell you how many times, because I had that discretion, because I'm a deputy out there on my own. I mean, the closest backup would be a state trooper, because all of the guys in the city were at least 40 minutes away from me. At least 40 minutes away. And
Well,
so I always tried to, you know, so did it work out every time? Nope. Did I get my ass kicked a couple of times? Yes, sir, I did.
did they roll it
Yes,
over in the
sir, I
ditch and
did.
did they roll it over in the ditch and walk home after that? Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah. But let's like it was just off of discussion. That brings up a great point. I had forgotten because we've talked about this. It's been a long time now. So, when calling for help, when calling for backup from a different agency, so like, I'm from Central Indiana, and there's some like big counties that surround Indianapolis that are called donut counties, and for the most part, they'll probably have an officer or two that's within 3 or 4 minutes of getting into the big city area and providing backup. And I asked one night, I was sitting at Arby's just shooting the shit because that's what I was doing. And I was like, do they ever help you back? And he goes, we've called because we've needed help. And we can never get anything out of the big city. They just won't
Yep.
send us anything. But they expect us to show up every time they're getting their ass whooped.
Yep.
And so we have to show up, fucking go tackle people. We don't know what the frickin' we know what the call is, but we don't know what the situation is going on. And then we're out of county, we're out of jurisdiction, right? So now we're 2
Yep.
officers short in such and such county in central Indiana. And they're like, "We
Yeah.
do it because we're brothers, officers, we're brothers." But we just wish sometimes when we're getting our ass handed to us, the big department would frickin' come over with 5 guys and help
Could
us figure.
somebody come and help me, please?
Yes.
Because if the guy hits me in my eye one more time, I think I'm going to go down and not get back up, because it hurts.
And
It really, really hurt.
and judging by the guys, I'm probably gonna lose my car to them too. And it will be
Yeah.
chop chopped. It will be chop
Yeah.
chopped in an hour. You won't even we'll
Yep.
never find it again.
Yep. I mean, 90% of the time, back in my 40s, I was bench pressing 350. I was stout, dude. I was stout. And every once in a while, I'd come across a guy, and you could, there's a thing about a worker's strength versus a gym rat's strength. And you could go to
Yeah.
YouTube and see it where a guy, big guns, been working out and all that kind of stuff, you know, he takes a 90-pound bag of Sacrete and holds it up. And then you see this skinny guy who's work strong grabs that 90-pound and he goes like this and holds it up with one hand,
Yep.
over his head. Those are the guys you got to watch out for because they will kick your ass regularly.
And that's a thing. It's a real thing because they're doing that 10, 12 hours a day, right? Carrying
Right.
whatever it is, whether it's shingles or 90-pound bag of Quickcrete. And like the big guys that are just real bulky, but don't like there's no stretch, right? Because it was all about building mass. These guys
Right.
just come in and go one on each hand, up over
Yeah.
them, and walk up
Yeah.
2 flights of stairs to drop something off in
Yeah.
return every 3 minutes for 12 straight hours. And
Yeah.
that's
Yeah. And so
I
so that guy is delivering mud and quickcrete and stuff to a block mason who his minimum quota is to lay 600 block a day.
Mhm.
And so this guy, like this, Sean, is grabbing 4 concrete blocks
Right.
and picking them up and putting them up on his shelf and then, laying them out. And if you don't have the mud there, that was your ass.
Oh,
They would
yeah.
kick your ass. So you had these underlings that were delivering the mud. I mean, those guys were the baddest dudes in the valley. They were
Uh,
just the baddest dudes in the valley.
well, I'll tell you, cause I'm quite I'm heavier than that now, but, like, out of high school, in high school, a little bit in college, I've done some stuff later in life where I wasn't an office jockey, but especially in high school and, right after high school, I took a year off before going to, university. I was a mule. I was a mule for different companies that like you're gonna carry it all day long. And,
Yep.
the first 3 or 4 days you come home and I was living with my mom and dad at the time because I was getting ready to go to school. Why pay rent somewhere? Why have roommates? And I would come home, they'd be like, "You want something to eat?" I'd be like, "I want a shower. I'm going to bed. Could you make sure I actually wake up tomorrow? Because I think I
Yeah.
might die."
Yeah.
And they'd laugh.
Did you have the
But
defibrillator ready?
right, 2 weeks into it, though, you're just a machine. You're an absolute machine. You're
Right.
hauling
Yeah.
stuff everywhere, and they're like, "I need 1 bag every minute," and you're like, "You know what? This is boring. I'm gonna go 2. No, screw it, I'm gonna go 3." And then when I get too many for you, then I can take 5 minutes and just watch you before I gotta start, muling again.
Right.
It's like,
Yeah.
and I don't
When I started in construction at 16,
Mhm.
I would struggle with one 4x8 sheet of 3/4 plywood.
Right.
By the time I was 17, just before my 18th birthday, I swear to God, I was dragging 3 3/4 inch sheets of plywood and carrying them up a ladder to the guys that were doing the roofing. Just like nothing.
Absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah.
you gotta build up to it, but it doesn't take long if you're doing it
Yeah.
that often. 5 days, 6 days a week. So,
I'll
yeah,
tell you,
so
I got an anecdote I got to tell you, Sean. So my brother and I were working construction on my dad's job site, right? And we're working. My brother was a expert carpenter, so he didn't get all the shit I got. I was, a rank or two below him, so I'm carrying plywood, carrying sack goods, delivering all that kind of stuff. And we got rained out one day. So we all went to the Dewdrop Inn, which was the local bar right outside the job, you know. And I'm up at the bar
Yeah. Oh
ordering
yeah.
a beer, and one of these block masons came up and he grabbed me by my ponytail and jerked my head back so I was, stretched out. And he's like, I don't like you Gant brothers. I think you're fucking pussies. And I was helpless. I mean,
Oh
there was
yeah.
no way, there was nothing I could do to fight him off.
Right.
And he was a big, strong fucker. And the girl that worked behind the bar, her name was Cheyenne. And she had it was a billy stick, but it looked like a 3/4 size baseball bat.
Yep.
So she slammed that on the bar and she said, You let that boy go, or I'm going to go to work on your head. And he let me go and said, We're going to fight. My brother comes over, and above the bar was all of these farm implements and, old school stuff they had up on the bar, and a horseshoe. He grabbed that horseshoe down. I swear to God, Sean, he grabs it like this and he goes, and he jacks it. And he goes, Let me tell you something, motherfucker. You flatten that horseshoe back out, I'll let you beat my brother's ass. And he was like, Yeah, fuck you guys. Yeah,
Right.
fuck you.
Well, and we've got a little time, I'll tell you. Actually, there was a thing. I was coming home from work. I stopped at a retail store. I was looking for just like American paraphernalia, like this, but not. They didn't have anything that I wanted. I got the Betsy Ross flag on tonight. I walk out. There's a dude standing by my driver's side door in between another car. So I kind of, and I'm paying full attention, but I'm not looking him in the eyes. He's holding a shopping bag from the shopping store, and he's talking to someone through the passenger's window. I can't hear what they're saying, and all of a sudden I
Yeah.
see like a 11-year-old girl pop up. So he
But he's
walks.
blocking you from getting in your truck or whatever.
Yes. So he walks by me and goes, "Stare much?" And I just like, it'd be normal to just 20 years ago just go to blows with him, but I was like, "There's an 11-year-old, 12-year-old kid in this car," so I just
Yeah.
pretended like I couldn't hear him. So I got in my car, I started it up. As soon as I put it in gear, everything locks. I'm gonna be fine unless he's gonna do something really stupid. I just back out of the parking spot, and I've got my sunglasses on already. It's he can't see where my eyes are, but this dude's just mean mugging me the whole time, and I'm like, "This is really that's what you want to teach your 12-year-old girl, is that you're gonna get in fights in a Dollar General parking lot?" Um,
So
over
he was mean mugging you.
well, when he first said the first thing, right? Stare too much. Right, normally, right, like 20 years ago, you just put your foot behind their ankle and go.
Yeah.
They're on the ground. But I was also consciously thinking, I've had girls that age, and I wouldn't want to see my
Yeah, he's
dad
got kids
get
in
his
the
ass
car. You
whooped
don't wanna Yeah,
by someone probably 15 to 20 years older than him.
yeah.
And so I just he didn't get any more aggressive except for the mean mug, and so I pretended I never heard him and I never saw him, and I'm
Yeah.
sure he was fucking fuming the entire time because he was trying to start something, and I was like,
Wow.
"Dude, you don't want to do this. You don't. Even if I lose, like me. You don't want to do this in front of your kid. It's just
Yeah.
a bad look picking a fight
Yeah.
for no reason in a
Yeah.
dollar store parking lot.
Yeah.
Your kid will remember you for that. So I diffused it for him and just went on my way. But that's my story of weird shit that happened to me today. Weird shit happens every day, but that was today.
Yeah.
So do you
So
see the? Go
I
ahead.
got to tell you, here's the other thing about you know being farm strong or being worker strong. You don't think of yourself like that. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You don't you don't bow up because god damn, you just worked 10 hours, And
Yes.
you're like, "Yeah, dude, I just want to go to the house."
Well, and you're also
And
not.
they fuck with you and fuck with you and fuck with you. And finally, you know, I remember slapping this guy was not having it. I don't know what I actually don't know what I did to him. But when I came out of the 7-Eleven, which was the 7-Eleven that every construction worker, was the closest one to the job site.
Yeah.
So everybody's getting a tall boy in a brown sack, and heading home. You know what I mean? Everybody's doing the same thing, and I grab one and I'm going out. And this guy's like, "What?
Right.
You, what do you mean, what, dude? I, I see you fucking mean mugging me, dude." I'm like, "I'm not mean mugging
Right.
anybody, man. I just worked 10 fucking hours. I've been putting tie beam, I've been laying number 5 rebar in in fuck, dude. What are you talking about? Yeah, you don't want to fuck with me." And I'm like, "You're right. I don't want to fuck with you." And so I kept walking. The
Yep.
guy grabs my bag of, I don't know, Doritos and a, you know, uh Modelo 16, tall boy,
Yeah.
and he slams it down on the ground. And I looked at him, I'm like, "What the fuck, bro?" He goes, "I ain't your fucking bro." And I slapped him. I didn't punch him. I slapped him open-handed. And he went down like a bitch. I mean, he went down like I George Foreman, right, and I didn't at all, Sean. You know what I mean? I
Right.
just kind of slapped him, but and he goes down to the ground, and now he's the victim. And I pick
Oh,
up
of
my
course.
shit, and I just go get in my truck, and I drive, and I'm like, "What the fuck was that?" And
Yeah.
then I had to put up with 3 days of all my partners, going, "Well, if it was me, I'd have
Oh
stomped
yeah.
that fucker," and I'm like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah, whatever."
Yeah. Right.
But that was, I have to say, that was the first time I realized I was work strong.
Sure. Absolutely.
You, you know what I'm saying? Because you don't think about that. You're a laborer, or you're a block mason, or
Yep.
you're a carpenter. You don't walk around thinking, "I'm the baddest man in the valley." That's not what you think. You don't
Right.
think in those terms. You are, but nobody you know what I mean? You know what I mean? You probably are, but I, you know,
Well, what's those for 3 days? Those guys, like everyone he worked with, is going, "Oh my god, you got slapped to the ground."
yeah, yeah, you punk ass bitch.
Right? I'm sure you had I'm sure you had plenty of shit talking to him What a people are weird. I don't get it. Like, obviously, self defense. I'll defend myself and those around me. But like this guy that I had today, I was like, you're gonna embarrass yourself. Not because I'm Chuck Norris. It's just I eyed him up like as soon as I saw him because he's standing by my car door, like
Yeah,
looking at my car, not at
yeah.
his car. So I already eyed him
And he's
up.
like he's daring you.
Oh
It
yeah.
that countenance is like he's daring you. And you're clueless. You're like, I'm trying to get in my vehicle and go home. Is something happening here?
I didn't say a word to him. I pretended I couldn't even hear him. So he walked by me
Yeah,
and scoffed a few more times, and then he was trying to mean mug me, and I wasn't even looking at him, which just made him even more mad. But again, he's sitting in a car with like an 11 or 12-year-old. I'm assuming it was his kid. But why you? What are you doing? What are you doing eyeballing the insides of my car or
yeah.
my SUV? Like, what do you? That was my first reaction. And then, right, he's the victim. Stare much?
So I got to tell you, true story now. A couple of weeks ago, because I'm still a big guy,
Hmm.
and I don't have the strength I used to have, but I got dad strength or whatever, right? And Tanya and I stop at Bucky's.
Yeah.
Uh, she wants to get some of that gerbil food that they make at Bucky's. That's really awesome, and the caramel corn or whatever it
Oh
was.
yeah.
And I had my uh drink, my 40-ounce insulated drink cup, and so I go in and load it with ice and water because that's how I travel is
Yep.
ice and water. And I'm walking, and this guy fucking shoulder checks me. I swear to God, he shoulder checks me. I don't even look back at him. I don't even do anything. I
Right.
just keep walking, and that was the end of it. I took all the wind out of his sails.
It's maintaining the dominant position.
Yeah, and
Right.
I just yeah, whatever, dude. And
Right.
he
Because
was a young guy, and he was stout,
they're trying to get
but
you to react. You take
he
all the
was
wind out
trying
of
to
your
get me to
sails.
react. I got my wife with me, man. I'm
Right.
not gonna fucking
Well,
kill everybody
well,
in Bucky's because of you.
now if you throw down in a Bucky's, or if I would have thrown down with this guy out there, right? There's cameras everywhere, and he would have been the one crying to the police that I was the aggressor, and then I've got to defend myself in court, and that's
Right.
another thing I look at when I do this, right?
Yes.
So first, take the wind out of their sails. They don't know if I'm deaf or not deaf. Walk by him like I
Yeah.
never heard him. Check me in the
Yeah.
shoulder. Keep walking,
Yeah,
but
he
keep my
shoulder checked
posture.
me. I
Keep
said, "Excuse me,"
keep
and
my
I kept
shoulders up.
walking. I didn't even look back at him.
Right. So yeah, it's a form of GFY without also catching charges because these guys, if they win, they're going to claim victory. If they lose, they're going to claim victim, and you're going to have to
Victimhood.
deal. Yep, you're going to have to. You're probably going to get a charge. You got to fight, even though you'll
Yep.
probably win. But now you're paying money to defend yourself against some punk. So
Yep.
screw them. Hey, real quick.
And I gotta tell you, I can't believe in today's society that that kind of shit still goes on. Dude, we're at Bucky's in East Texas.
Right.
Everybody knows everybody. You know, I I get a crick in my neck from nodding my head for walking around and seeing, yeah, hey, what's up? Hey, what's up? Hey, how you doing? Hey,
Yep.
thank you for your service. Hey, you know what I mean? It's just the way it is in East Texas. And for this, you know, idiot, man, I don't know.
I don't know why they still do it either. I don't. I I guess enough of them haven't lost their victimhood lawsuit. When more of them, right, lose their trailer or they have to move back in with their mom because they're paying so much money on a civil suit that they lose from this, or even a criminal suit. Maybe then they'll just stop acting up. But I don't know. It's definitely societal. It's
The other thing that's societal at Bucky's, which I can't stand, is they have 5,000 gas pumps and 4,080 of them
hmm
have empty cars in them
oh
because
yeah,
they pull up, get their gas, and then they go inside and shop
for two
and get
hours.
lunch and do all that and keep their car at the, oh, dude, that's a button.
It happens at every gas station, but at Bucky's, it's very noticeable. And you're like,
Yeah.
because at a gas station, maybe they'll be in there 10 minutes. At a Bucky's, they might be in there an hour or two. And you're
Oh,
just
at
like,
least.
God, you guys are the most selfish people on the planet. And I wish Bucky's would buy their own tow trucks and have a driver and just
Yeah. And just scratch them out. Yeah.
go hide
I
them
can't tell you
in
how
the
many
truck
times
lot
I pulled
behind.
up behind somebody, waiting to get when they get full, and there's people behind people, all up and down. Everybody's waiting. And then after 15 minutes, you're like, that fucking car's empty,
Yeah.
you know?
And when you
And then
walk
you're like,
in, they're sitting down at the restaurant.
yeah,
You're like that's what you want to flex up.
yeah,
but Bucky's has like a 1,200 cameras inside and out. So just these people, I swear to God, I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened to polite society. It seems like it's lost. I do I meet plenty of polite people? Yeah, but then I meet plenty of jerkwads that just want to flex on
yeah,
me in a dollar
yeah.
store parking lot with their kid in front of them. Like, just
With their
cut.
kids, that's the thing that gets me is their kids are with them and they don't care. They just don't care.
Right. And he has no idea that I know the Constitution well enough that I'm not the only one going to jail. We're both going to jail,
Yeah,
and now your kids are going to CPS, asshole. And I don't want
yeah,
any of that to happen. But you do,
right,
apparently.
yeah. So just move.
Right. And stop looking in my car window. Stop looking in the driver's side car window when I walk out of the store. There's nothing in there. It's a 17-year-old car with nothing, SUV with nothing in there. Like
Yep.
I'm not dumb. Like I don't transport gold inside of it. There's no Bitcoin locker inside of a 17-year-old car.
Right.
I mean, all you're gonna get is freaking lint and pollen dust. And that's about all you're gonna recover from the inside of the car because we're almost done with pollen season, and I haven't cleaned it yet because we still got about 2 more weeks, and there's no point because every time you open the door, you just vacuum in copious amounts of pollen.
Yeah, that's right.
So in 2 weeks, I'll clean it up real nice and neat. But still, you can't look at that thing and
Yeah,
go, look, it doesn't have dents of rust, but you can't look at it and go, that's a really old vehicle. I bet he doesn't have anything of value in it. Why you? He was trying to provoke something. He wasn't looking to steal. He
yeah,
was just. There's no reason that he was staring into my car, not looking at his kid in the other car, and just
right.
holding a bag of
Yeah.
merchandise. Like, whatever, dude.
I
Whatever.
saw it wasn't a meme, but I saw a excerpt the other day where, man, I wish I could remember who it was, but it was a pretty popular wide receiver in the NFL,
Okay.
and, and he's got 2015 Traverse, and you know he's making
Right.
bank,
Right.
and he's like, this Traverse got me through college, and it got me through NFL. It got me through Columbine, uh,
Combine. Yeah.
combine.
Into
Yeah,
the combine, into the NFL.
yeah. And he goes, I'm not getting rid of it. It's a great
No.
car. Got 130,000 miles on it. I don't give a shit. And the fucker's making like 46 million a year, you know?
Right?
I
But
just
there's
love that.
well, there's people that do this, and they do it on purpose. Remember, Sam Walton still drove around his early '70s F100 the entire time he was CEO of Walmart. He's like, I don't,
Yeah,
and he wore
yeah,
bibs, he wore a flannel, he wore a ball cap, even to board meetings. He's like,
yep,
we're running a business here. Like, just
yep,
stop. You're being ridiculous. There's nothing wrong with my F100.
yep,
I don't. Why do you think I should be driving around a car that costs more than a lot of people's houses? And I think
yeah.
Sam was one of the first ones, like that is famously
Yeah,
for
he
being a
started
CEO
that
to do
trend.
that.
And there was, we call it the citrus mafia in Florida, where, the guys that have all the big citrus groves and stuff,
Yeah,
and one of them was Boudrias, and Boudrias had one of the biggest Central Florida groves. That guy was 80 years old. He had a 78 Chevy box truck,
yeah, square body.
box model, short bed, and every morning you could see him drive in to the Waffle House where he would go and get breakfast every morning. The guy's worth, he's like Yellowstone. He's worth
Right.
multi billions, and he'd drive that old 78 up in there and get out, and go in there and get him a scrambled eggs and hash browns and a waffle. Every morning. It was great, dude.
And
Guy was legend.
there's nothing wrong with driving a nice car, but I do think it's when you look at super successful people that choose not to spend their money on that, you just go, "Oh, well, if they can do it and they have they could call the dealership and say, hey, I know it's noon and you guys are on lunch, but I want a new Escalade by 1 o'clock brought over to the store. And I want all of this stuff. Well, we don't have it at the dealership. Well, 1 o'clock, I'll write you a check, right? They could do that.
Yeah,
They have that power.
they
They
could
have that
easily
swag.
do that. Yeah,
And nope, and they're pulling
and I
up in
gotta
a
say,
Chevy Silverado or an F100
yeah,
from the late
got
'70s.
yeah, got a little Silverado short box. Now I think his wife drove the latest and greatest Suburban.
Sure.
Because they had a half a dozen grandkids and stuff. And so I'm sure it was like you said,
Yeah.
he would call Potankum, which was the local Chevy dealer, and go, "Hey, I need you to fix mama up with a new Suburban," you know, and they would deliver it out to the ranch,
Yup.
all that kind of stuff.
And
But
so
he,
he'd get it delivered to the ranch. Then he'd be like, "You need to come by home office for me to sign the title and give you the
right.
cash." And
Yep.
they'd be like, "Yes, sir. Yes,
Yep.
sir." Whereas if you and I did that, they're like, "No, no, that's not how this works. You have to come be held hostage at the dealership for the next 8 hours."
Yeah.
All right, man. We made it. An hour. I want to thank everybody. Listen. I'm so glad. I hope you guys start joining the chat rooms. We got people Rumble, locals, YouTube, Twitch. Thank you to all the Twitter people. I see you. I don't see individually who you are. I just see that we got watchers. I want to thank you, Paul. I'm not doing anything tomorrow. let's definitely take a day off. Friday, we'll just do a hangout. And then Saturday, we're looking at maybe bringing on an expert. Listen, if you can't make it Saturday because you're hanging out with your family, these are recorded. You can watch them anytime. You can watch them on your TV. If you want to listen to them in the car on the way to work, they're on Spotify, they're on iHeart, they're on Amazon Prime, usually the next day. We're everywhere you could possibly want. So we appreciate each and every one of you guys that listens to us or watches us, anything. We really appreciate it.
Yep.
All right, let's close it out.
All right, buddy. See you later. I don't know how to close out.